AC2.1.2, we're now looking at Amy Vaughn as our investigation on how to calculate national insurance. Well, this is the image I'd like you to continue with in order to understand national insurance. You've got people who are queuing up to use the national insurance money spinner. And the idea is they don't know their deductions of national insurance, so they throw in their pay packet and the machine calculates it for them. So in they go in terms of their salary, and depending on how much they earn, the salary either fills the first portion where they have no national insurance to pay, it fills the first two portions where they have a little bit of nothing to pay for national insurance, but they earn enough to push them into the second portion where they do have to pay up to 12%, or they are in the higher earners and their salary goes through the funnel, fills up all three sections. So they have a section of where some of their money doesn't have any national insurance deductions, a second part of their money does have national insurance deductions at 12%, and a third portion of their money has that 2% deductions. This is Amy Vaughn. She's a senior manager for the NHS and she earns £120,000 per year. Unlikely that she'd be in a medical uniform, but this is to make sure that you know that's the NHS. So Amy puts her pay packet, her wages, into the spinner, and we see what happens in terms of how much it's going to calculate Amy has to pay for her national insurance contribution. Now, if you remember, Amy earns £120,000 per year, so you can see that she's got enough salary to fill all three portions of the money spinner, of the national insurance spinner. So let's just go through and look at what that means for Amy. On the first portion, do they earn under £166 per week? Well, no, she earns over, but she still gets that portion of no national insurance. She still has £7,968 of that whopping great big salary, £120,000, that little portion of it where she doesn't pay national insurance. And so we plough on. Amy's salary has filled the first portion, and then it goes into the second portion, and we ask the question, does she earn between £167 and £962 per week? And so we carry on. Amy clearly earns enough to go into the second portion where we ask the question, as we said, does she earn in between those two figures? Well, she earns well over 962, but she is allowed a portion of her salary, that 167 to 962, she is allowed to have that amount of money where the only deduction is 12%. So if we calculate that middle portion, the in between those two weekly figures, then that totals an annual figure of £38,160, which she will be charged at 12%. 12% of that middle portion then, that £38,160, is £4,579.20. Now Amy earns enough to actually fill the third portion when we ask the question, do they earn over £962 per week? Well, Amy clearly does earn over £962 per week, so what we now need to do is calculate this third portion. So the first portion of her salary, the £7,968, there was no national insurance. The second portion of her salary, which was £38,160, gave her a bill of £4,579.20. That was her 12% bill, and that leaves her with £73,872 that hasn't had any national insurance applied to it. Now that third slice of her national insurance bill is all charged at 2%. So her final national insurance bill is £1,477.44. Basically that's saying 2% of that 73,000 odd, that's what that bill is for that third portion. So Amy effectively has three bills. Her first bill on the portion of her salary, £7,968, she has nothing to pay. On her second bill, which is her salary where she can earn between 167 and 962, she has a bill of £4,579.20. That's the 12% applied to her 38,160, and her final bill over there on the left, that is the £1,477.44. All three together will tot up to become Amy's national insurance deductions. Well, here's all the figures to work out the Amy Vaughn calculation, and if you remember, we need to go through the review questions first. So the review questions link directly back to the national insurance spinning machine. So we'll go through those, and then we'll start looking at and breaking down how we reach those figures. You have a task to do at the end on this slide. If the answer is no, that's no national insurance. The next question to remember is, do they earn over £962 per week? If the answer is no, then you're using the 12% national insurance rate. And the last question to remember is, do they earn over £962 per week? And that means you'll be using the 2% on earnings, only the earnings which are above £962 per week. So now let's look at the Amy Vaughn scenario. She earns £120,000 per annum. That's the posh word for year. So our first question we want to ask is, how much is that per month? And that is £120,000 divided by how many months in the year? So the answer is... Next question is, how much is that per week? So we take the £10,000 and how many weeks shall we have in a month? Yep, you've guessed it, we'll have 4. So that's £10,000 divided by 4 weeks gives you... Now we've got an idea of the weekly figure that Amy gets, the £2,500. The question we want to ask now is that over £166 per week? Well, that's straightforward. £2,500 a week is clearly over £166 per week, so the answer is yes. And the last question we ask before we delve over to do a bit of maths is her weekly earnings over £962 per week? And the answer to that, straightforward, is a yes. National insurance is a little bit complicated. So here on this pink post-it note, here's the breakdown of how these questions work. Now remember the first 3 questions at the top. So first of all, Amy can earn £166 per week without paying any national insurance. So that means we need to work out what £166 per week is per month. We multiply by 4, 664, and then we find out what that is per year, and there's the yellow number. So she earns £7,968 a year and has 0% national insurance to pay on that. Now remember, her salary total is £120,000, so only £7,968 of that is at 0% national insurance, not the rest. So we've dealt with 7,900 odd, so we now need to know what the rest is. So we just do a simple subtraction on that one. So here comes the next slice. Do they earn up to £962 per week? Well, the answer is yes. So this time now we've got our yellow post-it note, and on our yellow post-it note, what we've got to look at is that middle slice. So if Amy earns, we know she earns over £166 per week, and she earns up to 962, so that's a yes. So in that middle slice, she pays 12% for her national insurance. What does this mean? This is why there's lots of help on this particular question. She's allowed to earn that middle slice between 962 and 167, which gives her £795 per week. So what that actually means is £795 per week becomes £3,180 per month, which then becomes £38,160 per year. And that's the amount that Amy earns where she will be charged 12% for national insurance contributions. So if we just pause a second and review what we've done so far, For the first slice of her salary, £7,968, she is at 0% national insurance. She pays no national insurance. For the second slice of her salary, £38,160 per year, that is the sum between £166 and £962 per week, then she pays a 12% deduction, and 12% of 38,160 is £4,579.20. As you can see on the green post-it note, we've now applied 2 lots of national insurance rate to Amy's salary. The 7968, slice 1, and for the middle slice, her 12% bill was £4,579.20. That was on that middle slice of earnings. So that means we've dealt with £46,128 of her salary. So there's £73,872 left of her earnings. What are we going to do about that? An outstanding question to ask. So what we do next is we've got to look at the remainder of her earnings, and it gets charged 2% of national insurance. So we need to calculate 2% of 73,872, and if you simply put in 73,872 to calculate a times a 2% sign, and that will give you the percentage amount, which is £1,477.44. You may now be thinking, well, I've shown you all the answers and shown you what the numbers are. Absolutely right, I have, because the Amy Vaughn scenario is quite a complicated one, which is, they did say national insurance is complicated. Here comes Ethel, so it's not over yet, my little lamb chops. Your job is now to put all these numbers together. Your job is to make sure you can extract the right numbers from the post-it notes on the left to answer these questions. Clearly set by Ethel. So question 1. Up to £166 per week, Amy pays how much in national insurance? And the answer goes in the brown at the bottom. Next question. Between 167, obviously the 166 is the allowance, we're in the next allowance. Between 167 and £962 per week, Amy pays how much in national insurance? Answer on the little brown bit. Now for the third slice of her salary, for her salary which is over £962 per week, Amy pays how much in national insurance? Put your answer where the brown writing is your answer. The final question is the total amount of national insurance Amy pays on her full £120,000 salary is, yes, you write it on the answer below. And your job, this is where the question is, make sure you've extracted the right information from the post-it notes on the left. So you've got to look at which bits on the post-it notes are the national insurance figures that you have written above, hopefully, and that you are correctly totting up in this final question. And as you guessed, whilst I might have given it away on the above ones, I am not giving it away on this question. You'll be pleased to hear that the Amy Vaughn question is one of the toughest questions, and you've now just finished it.